All right. I'm going to go ahead and start the music. 3, 2, 1. Boom.
Yo, y'all listen up. I got something to say. I'm going to speak the truth to you, but some of y'all, you took a shortcut, a convenience this summer. You was like, coach ain't here. The season's weeks away. I got time. Are you kidding me? As a college athlete, you got 4, maybe 5 years to be great or be forgotten. So while you home taking it easy, somebody else is out there in the heat just about killing itself to make their name great. But you got time. Insane. Yeah. My heart is purple and gold. I'm a pirate down to my soul, and I don't back down, not at all. Find out when the cannons explode. From the sidelines down to the post, put it down like not even close. All out to the last whistle blow. From the flag with the soul and crossbones. Everybody stand up, get your hands up. Let a team know that we got they back. This is our house, this is our town, our time.
Joining us here for another episode of the Midweek Breakdown presented by the Athletes Table Podcast. I'm your host, Dylan Craft. Alongside me is the Lebanese Stallion and Coop over there, Mr. Aaron AC. What's going on, y'all?
What's going on?
And we got a special guest here today, our guest picker. We had him on a show not too long ago. He has the Risky Business podcast, and he's a current MMA fighter looking to get into the UFC ranks. He definitely wanted to bring on this show because he usually doesn't get to talk about college football very much. He's an NFL guy, so it gives him a little bit different in the realm what he's accustomed to talking about. So, Mr. Risky 910, what's going on, G?
Man, I'm just happy to be able to talk. Usually people tell me to shut up.
I think we all know how that goes.
This right here is great. I'm excited, bro. I'm excited.
I'm glad. Well, welcome to the Midweek Breakdown, boys. Let's dive into it. So, what is something that you guys saw last week that kind of shocked the world in college football?
Ole Miss LSU fucking shootout. When the first few touchdowns started, I'm like, oh, this game's going to be stupid. Ended up being stupid. Also, the last LSU touchdown did not fucking count. Ref was fucking blind. He paused in the entire game for 15 minutes, and the ref got it wrong. It's weird. He fell down with the ball in his left hand, and it somehow appears in his fucking right hand. That's almost like the ball is fucking traveling, moving a distance, which is called bobbling the ball, and therefore you didn't fucking catch it. You know, let's just waste 20 minutes and say, oh,
Geometry.
Geometry.
Waste of time.
So the question is, did you guys see that big hit that Jaden Daniels took at the end of the game?
Jesus Christ.
I said a prayer for that child.
Big hit. He got hit by a car is what he did.
But dude, some of his passes were on point that day. I mean, he was looking like an NFL prospect that game for most of the game.
Until he got hit like a little bitch and they played like shit.
That too. What about Risky? What did you guys see that you kind of thought was like, damn, that's a really impressive game? Or like, man, that's kind of wild how that happened.
Man, just looking at the Duke and Notre Dame game, I really liked that right there from what I've seen because, you know, Duke has been playing some pretty dominant football. Sam Hartman, though, that guy right there on the Notre Dame side kind of surprised me with this right here, and I found something interesting on him. Sam Hartman has came with 4 comebacks in the fourth quarter and came back on Duke to win this game right here. And I mean, you can just see that guy right there he just didn't look stressed out at all. Like I like his composure in that fourth quarter because, you know, a lot of quarterbacks would try to force something to make it happen. And he was just standing there throwing dimes. So I loved it.
Well, it helps when you have about 40 or 50 complete starts in a college career, for one.
Oh, yes, sir.
2, having the week before losing on the last second touchdown against Ohio State, you have that motivation. And then the year prior when he was with Wake Forest and they came into Duke, into Wallace Wade Stadium, it came down to the final second, but Riley Leonard had the game-winning touchdown that time instead of Hartman. So he had a bunch of comebacks with that and had a lot of revenge-setting mindset for that game, I think.
As he should. He
should. Absolutely. Dylan, how about you? Anything you saw that you were like, man?
Honestly, I got to give a player a shout out, man. Max Johnson for Texas A&M came in after they found out the week before that Connor Wegman was done for the season. Max Johnson came in and he played a hell of a game, man. He looked very, very good. The southpaw, which we usually don't see any left-handed quarterbacks around lately. He came in, he tossed some pigskin around, man. He ain't afraid to throw the rock. So that was actually really – I'm not a huge Texas A&M fan, but he played very well, so I got to give credit where credit's due.
Absolutely. Absolutely. My big surprise was the way Colorado handled themselves in that last 2 quarters and came back and made it a football game again. You know, they had the embarrassing game against Oregon. They had the embarrassing first half against USC, and then they turned it into a game by, I think it was 6 or 8 points that they were in between at the last minute or so.
Yep.
And then we got some
second half adjustments.
Yes, big time. And then we have some breaking news. Tez Walker, who was told he was not going to be able to play football this year because of NCAA requirements and everything, but they were allowing others to come in, is now eligible to play the game of football again at UNC.
Ooh.
So that's going to change up the dynamic of the ACC again. You're adding a top wide receiver into another decent ACC team.
And UNC needs it.
Exactly.
Their passing offense right now hasn't looked as good as it could be. They've been relying on the run a lot. So being able to get a top-tier receiver like that is really going to add another level to that offense.
He'll take place of the Josh Downs, I think. You know, that kind of level receiver, I think that's where he's going to come into play more. But that was just announced today, a couple hours ago, actually. So that's some big news. So anything that you guys are looking forward to for this upcoming week in football, not necessarily game wise, but like interesting guys, like after Sam Hartman playing the way he did, or how Colorado played as a whole in that second half, or how LSU is going to bounce back from Ole Miss, or how Texas A&M is going to bounce back against Alabama with like the way that people are stepping up again. Anything you guys kind of looking forward to this week?
Dude, I want to see how good their second string quarterback is because Leonard has a high ankle sprain. That's not going to be fixed in a week.
Oh, dude, that injury looked nasty.
I mean, me and you, Nick, when we were there, saw that their second string quarterback can throw the ball pretty damn well.
I think he's Cam Newton 2.0.
We're going to have to see. I mean, man's a freshman. You're taking over a starting role on a ranked team as a freshman. I mean, you see it good every other year, but I mean, it's kind of hard to get into.
Hey, he has 100% completion rate right now.
Yeah, I mean, the next opponent's not going to be a cakewalk, but
no,
we'll see.
How are you guys?
I got a couple things I'm looking at going into this weekend. I'm looking to see how Notre Dame's going to bounce back after that very close game with Duke, because Duke gave them a run for their money, that's for sure. We talked about it at the top of the show. I'm really looking forward to see how Sam Hartman and the rest of that offense is going to be able to handle Louisville, because they've got an offense that can run with them too. So see if their defense can hold put. Also, I know all of us, we're going to be going to the NC State and Marshall game this weekend. And we had news coming out of Raleigh that MJ Morris is going to be starting over Brendan Armstrong, which everybody in Raleigh has been asking for weeks and weeks now. So I think Dave Dorian got put into they had no choice decision here.
Kind of on the hot seat this year. It kind of depends. His career is going to kind of depend.
He ain't in a hot seat. State likes to keep their coaches for some stupid reason. Avon should have been out of there a long time ago. Yeah. But there's a couple of games this week that I think are going to be eyebrow raisers. That's for sure. A couple of matchups that you really don't see as being that close, but like Florida, for example.
Our list this week.
Yeah. There's one definitely I can see on there. I know Aaron's going to be covering the one I'm thinking of, but I know like Florida too. They've got a really big matchup, so I'm very curious to see how everything's going to go.
Yep, we actually have a couple of games I think that are going to be a lot closer than people realize, and I think about 3 or 4 of them in our list that will be a lot closer. Jervon, how about you? What do you kind of think that was like? Man, I can't wait for this to happen this week.
Oh, honestly, man, I'm kind of looking forward to that Alabama and Texas A&M game. I just want to see from Alabama if they are just going to be run heavy or if they're going to try to make some adjustments and catch them off guard a little bit. Because, I mean, when you think of Alabama, you think of running the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the blueprint against them at all times. So
Mhm.
looking forward to see if they can, if Texas A&M might be able to shut that down slightly to make them kind of throw around the pigskin a little bit.
Yep. I can see that 100%. I mean, it's going to be quite interesting. And then one game that I know we're not going to talk about, but that kind of has some big noise being made, is Kansas State, Oklahoma State. That happens Friday night. You know, Kansas State was ranked early on in the year. Mizzou beat them with the last second field goal, so they go unranked now. Oklahoma State's coming on a rough first 4 or 5 weeks so far. I think they are 3-2 or 2-3. Oklahoma State is. What do you guys think? Do you guys see Kansas State pulling that one out, or do you guys see Oklahoma State kind of be like, no, we're gonna take you at home and teach you how to play?
Kansas State is favored.
Yep.
It's gonna be more of a toss-up, I feel, especially just because of, I mean, Kansas State's they were, riding the high train. They were playing pretty well.
Yep.
And they got to be last second field goal, and then, Oklahoma State just hasn't had the best year, but it could be a bounce back. It could make Oklahoma versus Oklahoma State a big game.
Yep.
That's a possibility.
Well, from what I'm seeing, Kansas State's had a tougher road. They won last week against UCF. UCF is no slouch. They're actually pretty good this year. They're just being quiet about it.
Yep.
They did lose to Mizzou, which Mizzou's actually pretty legit. We'll see how they go for the rest of the season, but and they've won against Troy and Southeastern Missouri. So they've had a decent start to the year. They've got the offense to be able to beat basically anybody in the country right now. It's just, can the defense hold up?
Yeah.
And that's going to be the big questions going into this year.
It's very similar questions to TCU at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, very, very similar.
So speaking of UCF, they actually have a great game out there in Kansas against Kansas in out that way. So in the Midwest is what I was going to say. But do you guys see the new Big 12 playing a role in coming in against the old Big 12? Because Kansas is a hot team right now. Yes, they lost last week to Texas, but they are a hot team this year and last year. UCF has kind of been in that upper ranks in league play over the last few years when they were in the American. What do you guys see in there?
Well, the big thing with Kansas is Jalen Daniels didn't play last week.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because he got hurt in warm-ups out of any time.
That was the craziest thing. It's like, Texas will be a big game. Starting quarterback hurt himself. Good luck. Should figure it out.
I just think in that predicament right here with the game that's coming up with them, they have to start off strong.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't want to get caught playing from behind, trying to make something happen, you got to start off strong, execute, stay away from punting as much as possible,
especially on the road or at home.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Like,
and they still don't know if he's going to be playing yet. He's on day-to-day right now.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's a big thing. It's a big thing. It can really go either way. That game to me can go either way. Hold on. There was one more thing I wanted to bring up. Where was it? Hold on.
Get it together, kid.
Okay, so the NCAA, we're talking about transfer portal, right? I have my note. I was taking a look and making sure I was right on it. So the transfer portal is changing for NCAA football. They're trying to shrink it to make it a little bit harder for players to, transfer every year. It's just like, how do you kind of represent, hey, I'm this guy from this school and I represent the school all, 3, 4, 2 years, whatever it is. So they're trying to make it smaller. Do you guys think that's going to affect college football like it did when they had to sit out a year? Or do you think it's going to affect it more as in like, kids are going to transfer, but it's not going to be the same way?
How are they shrinking? Like,
they're trying to say, like, if you're injured, like JT Daniels was a few years ago with UGA and transferred to Rice, like you can transfer that way, right? Or you can transfer if you have a sick parent or relatives, or you want to go closer to home, stuff like that. Instead of only allowing players to go, okay, I don't want to be at the school anymore because I'm not getting playing time, and I want to transfer out and go somewhere else. Just because of playing time, instead of trying to earn respect in that spot.
that's gonna be a bad and a good thing. It's gonna affect those that like, oh, I picked this school because they recruited me high, but they would play better if they went to like say a smaller school. Like a lot of teams are like that. I think it's definitely gonna also make people think more. Like, all right, I want to commit to. Let's say I want to commit to Duke. And it's like, okay, let me look at other schools first. You might pick. You might be like, all right, I'm not really sold on playing for Duke. I'm not really sold on playing for UNC. I want to go play for State.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm not really sure. It will kind of force them to make more of a decision. Like, is this the best thing for me? Go meet the coaching staff, become better acquainted with the staff. Where a lot of teams are like, all right, I'm gonna go meet them, take me out to dinner. They pay for my food. They're gonna offer me a car. Oh yeah, I'll go play for them. Fuck it, easy decision. And it's less that and more of, hey, if I want to get paid more money and be a better player, I should look who the hell is signed up for next year. Who I'm going to be playing with.
See, the NIL deals are starting to come into play with the transfer portal.
Yes.
So that's
Well,
another.
they're starting to get they're making a huge dent in a recruitment in general. It's
so
it's all around the board.
So that's another thing that's kind of shrinking. They're trying to keep it to where like, oh, just because like Quentin Ewers went to Ohio State for 1 year just to make the money off the NIL because Texas wasn't approving it until the year after. So he went to Ohio State, knew he wasn't going to play right away, went for the NIL money, transferred the next year to Texas, got NIL money, and became the starting quarterback instead of earning it where he was at and going to school just to get money. That's
so I can definitely see that becoming a factor. I think is it Utah that they just gave all of their guys that came in on
y'all got a car.
Damn truck.
Yeah.
I tell you what, if I'm a struggling college student and I don't have transportation, I'm going my ass to Utah. I can go get me a truck.
So I've got a funny take to this because at first, like I was completely against all of it, and like the more that I think about it, the whole transfer portal and with what NIL is doing and everything, I'm still not a fan of NIL just because of it's just bringing too much business into amateur athletics, and at the end of the day, that's what it is, amateur athletics. But at the same time, with the transfer portal, and hear me out here, the transfer portal is leveling things out, right? It gives guys an opportunity. Like, okay, they want to go play for Clemson, they want to play Ohio State, Michigan, Notre Dame, USC. They want to go play for these big schools. They go there and figure out, oh, I'm not that good.
Yeah,
like I'm not getting any play time. I'm basically on a practice squad. Well, now that talent is going to get more of a chance to go play for mid-majors. And now you see mid-majors starting to become a little bit more favorable destinations, right?
Yeah.
And you see what like Coach Prime is doing in Colorado for a mid-major. And now you're seeing more coaches coming in. I think he's done changed the way that you're going to see coaching and recruitment. It's going to go back to the way that it used to be with Bobby Bowden, Steve Spurrier, people like that. That are going to be recruiting kids because they want to play under his regimen and the way that he coaches. And at the same time, the players are going to have the opportunity to go away from these big schools, go to smaller schools, even if it means they get closer to their families, what so be it, even though I don't like the way that they're changing it because there's too many loopholes.
Yeah.
But
there's always
going to be
a time situation no matter what.
So like at that point, I'm like, what does it matter? But at the same, like, that's what I'm trying to say is like, I'm getting to the point where I don't mind a transfer portal because I like seeing some of these smaller schools start being more competitive, and you're seeing some of the giants fall. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, that's what we want. We want to root for the underdog.
Absolutely.
Everybody wants to root for the underdog.
America's made of it, to be honest.
I like Alabama winning. I don't give a
So, okay, we're going to get into the best part of this segment. We're going to start talking about the games that we chose. I believe it's the 9 biggest games of the weekend, in our opinion. We're going to start with Aaron and the LSU-Missouri game. This is in Missouri, just outside Jefferson City in Columbia, Missouri. Who you got, or not who you got, why do you got these guys?
LSU, Mizzou. I think it's not going to be as much of a brawl. I mean, it could be. LSU might be, completely destroyed after that loss to Ole Miss, which was just a shootout. No defense was played, but LSU is going to come out the gates pretty damn hot. They're going to probably run the ball a lot because they're going to be able to run it against Mizzou.
Yeah,
they are going to score a lot of points because they are butthurt after dropping twice in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
they are pretty close to being out. They lost to Mizzou. I don't think they would ever get close to coming in the top 20.
Yeah,
I mean they're pretty close to being out now. But I mean, if I was the committee, I would kick them the hell out. I mean, a lot of other rankings should have changed as well. But whatever. Yeah. But LSU is going to play hard and they're going to try to score a lot quick. Their defense, it hasn't shown anything good. So Courtesy on that, but LSU is gonna blow the doors out.
That's not bad. So we're going to kind of keep in the same well, actually, we are going to keep in the same conference. We're going to go to Arkansas, Ole Miss. Dylan, who you got? Or not who you got. What do you got?
So Ole Miss looks really good right now. Jackson Dart is playing freaking fantastic.
Yep.
I know they had that loss against Alabama. I think that was more of a spark for Alabama than it was Ole Miss playing bad. And then last week you saw what they did with LSU. It was a freaking shootout. So I really like Ole Miss at home. Arkansas as well. They're kind of in a rut. Last week they had a loss. They didn't really play all that well. You saw them be very one-dimensional. KJ Jefferson, he's just not playing up to his capabilities, but at the same time, he doesn't really have a whole lot of help. So Arkansas right now, I'm not very enthusiastic on watching them play against the Rebels.
Back in Arkansas.
Back in Arkansas.
Not too bad. Not too bad.
We got Walmart and Walmart accessories.
I like it. I like it. Well, we're gonna change conferences. We're gonna go to the Big Ten. We're gonna talk about Maryland, Ohio State. This game is, to me, it's a toss-up. You got a Maryland team who is playing really, really well at a high level. A quarterback who's just playing out of his mind right now. I think because of seeing his brother Tua in the NFL and kind of getting that knowledge from him. And Tua had the same coach. The head coach at Maryland was the same offensive coordinator and quarterback coach at Alabama when Tua was there. So that is just like one reason why Tagovailoa is staying in Maryland and not leaving to go back to Alabama or anything. Ohio State, if they play the way they played against Notre Dame, like in the first half where their defense stuck and didn't they bend and didn't break, and their offense picks it up, it could be a shootout game, just like we saw last week with LSU Ole Miss. So that game is going to be kind of exciting, I think. But we're gonna change it to the future SEC Red River rivalry. We got Oklahoma, Texas. Dylan, what you got?
Honestly, you can put your money on both teams on this one. This has always been a game of defenses here. Usually both offenses are playing really well, and how it looks so far, it's going to be the same way. You got two high-powered offenses. Dylan Gabriel's been playing really well so far this year, very quietly. We haven't heard a whole lot
from
UCF because he thought he won a national championship. Yep. Well, they did, and then he realized you play somebody real, and you see what happens.
Story.
Yeah, it's a whole lot different story. But Dylan Gabriel, he's played very well in Oklahoma. I think it was a very good decision for him to go there because that offense, he's got the offensive line to be able to protect him. He's got threats on the outside. So they've looked very well so far, but so is Texas. I mean, we saw Quinn Ewers play, especially against Alabama. I'm sorry, but in the last couple of weeks,
it is what it is.
He's looked good. I mean, y'all got beat by a good quarterback. He is actually pretty good so far. Yeah. Their running game has looked amazing. So it's really just going to be who's got a better defensive line, and what we said in the last couple of weeks. I think we know who's got the better defensive line here. So
absolutely.
It's going to be a toss-up. Dallas, it's going to be hot. They're going into the state fair.
Have a hell of a weekend there.
Yeah.
For that, my debate for that is Oklahoma is gonna not win by that much. I think it's gonna be Texas is gonna win it just because.
Wait, hold on, hold your thoughts. Hold your horses. All right. Next, we got Aaron with Kentucky and Georgia, the current top 25 matchup. We got number 20 Kentucky versus number 1 UGA in Athens. What you got?
Kentucky, I think, is going to shock you. Georgia has looked very, very poor in the last few games.
And Kentucky's actually pretty good.
And that's the other reason. Kentucky's pretty damn good. I mean, their last game against Auburn, they almost lost. They should have lost the game. They played terribly, but Auburn just played a little bit worse. Yep. They haven't played anybody good. They almost lost to Auburn. This is their first ranked matchup of the entire year.
Yep.
They have played no one that good. They didn't even play that good against South Carolina. They were losing to South Carolina at half.
Yeah.
I think Kentucky is going to shock us.
Yep. So, okay, we got We got I think one of the bigger games of the night and one of the more surprising teams in the country. We got Notre Dame, Louisville. Jervon, you're going to go out this, but Louisville is ranked now. It's not just Notre Dame that's number 10. You got Louisville, who I believe is 23, 24, 25, somewhere around there. They're ranked. I just don't remember which
they snuck in.
They snuck in there. Jervon, what do you got for this one? Don't say who your pick is, but what do you got on the
So for this one right here, I was kind of looking at equations on what could be the deciding factor in here. One thing that I know for sure that I don't think is going to be a deciding factor is the special teams as far as field goals go, because both teams against only allowed like 0.8 of a field goal per game that they played so far. Yep. One thing that I do see is, will Notre Dame be able to handle what I think his name is Thrush? That dude right there is out of his mind. 22 receptions for 444 yards at this point, but he's averaging 20 yards per reception.
And it's only week 5. We're going into week 6.
yeah. That right there is absolutely crazy. And then you got Jordan, who's had 66 attempts for 510 yards with 6 touchdowns at this point. That's just out of this world.
Question
Sam Hartman is going to have to get started very early. I don't think this right here was a team that he wants to try to come back from. Louisville, as far as running the ball, they could chew up a pretty good amount of the clock, especially if they get ahead early. It's going to be kind of hard to come back from that.
Yeah.
But one stat that I did see that I did like from I think his name is Einstein or Instinct or something like that.
Yeah.
He has 95 attempts with 672 yards. Now, if you take in account of Jordan with 66 attempts with 510 yards, that shows that he's the more productive back at this point. So that's what I'm saying. It's taking Einstein a little bit longer to get going. If Jordan gets going early, and that sets them up for 1 or 2 passing touchdowns starting off the game, and then you have to play back, that's not going in Sam Hartman's favor. So that's what I got.
Now, do you see the game being in Louisville? Do you see that affecting it?
Honestly, I can see that because, the Louisville fans getting behind them a little bit, playing against a big team, in my opinion. That right there can give them that edge. Like I said, all it takes is for them to score on that first drive that they come out. If they get started early, it's going to be kind of hard to shut them down from that high horse that they're going to be on. So,
no, absolutely. I completely agree. And I could see all that happening. So we're going out to one of the surprise games and one of the surprise teams of the year. We're going to go throw it out to Fresno State and Wyoming in Wyoming. Fresno State is the 24th ranked team in the country. Wyoming, they've been playing some tough people this year, especially in the Pac-12, it seems like. But they're playing in Wyoming too. So, Dylan, what do you got?
Well, get used to hearing number 24 Fresno State because they're probably going to be staying number 24 Fresno State for this game. Mr. Mikey Keene, he's already thrown for almost 1,500 yards and 14 touchdowns. So
Again,
far.
Only week 5 going into week 6.
I know, that's absolutely ridiculous. That's a little bit of surprising stat for me. So Wyoming, they're averaging 142 yards passing a game.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to cut it there, son. You can't do that in this type of football.
Not in a big game like this.
Go take your seat on the far end of the pine because you are not that good. They're rushing the ball for 182 yards a game, throwing the ball 140. Defense ain't really that great. The key points of Fresno State is their run defense. They're able to stop the ball on the ground. That's what Wyoming's going to try to do here. So, looking at this, I'm not going to make a prediction here, but I think Fresno State's going to stay ranked for another week.
So now we're going back to the SEC for big-time football. This game takes place not just south, but pretty far south compared to Wyoming. Not in the Canada border, but we're going down to the Mexico border, and we're going to watch Alabama, Texas A&M. Aaron, what do you got for this game?
I think Alabama's going to come out pretty pretty pumped up and gassed up and ready to play some actual good football. They played really good against good old Mississippi State. But sure, that wasn't the greatest opponent, but they played really well. And, I mean, Milrose playing better. And Nick Saban, which I just saw recently, he said Milrose playing with more confidence. And that's what's going to make this game a lot better. Milrose playing better. The line is still kind of retarded. I'm not going to lie to you. They probably all still eat their fucking crayons pretty aggressively. I don't understand it myself, but it is what it is. But Alabama's defense is also starting to become better. Number 15 for Alabama on defense, Turner. It sucks that he's a junior. So I wish he would just fucking be a freshman and stay for like 3 fucking years. It'd be great.
Yep.
He is playing some unreal football. He's just playing very smart football. He's not being selfish like, oh, the running back jutted out for a sweep or for like a little check down play. Oh, the quarterback, I can sack the quarterback. No, you follow the running back and he throws it over the running back's head.
Yep.
It's not a completion. It's a good play. He's playing smart. Their defense is getting better. Their secondary still sucks. I'm not going to fucking ever say it doesn't suck. It always sucks every year. They're like, defense is great. No, it's Alabama. Defense is not always good. But their offense is getting better. There's going to be a
I wonder if the purple crayons taste like purple.
Probably
No, great.
Just like the Tide Pods taste like bleach, you know? You never know until you try it.
So
Eat gain. Leave Tide alone.
So we're going to take it to a game that 3 of us are going to this weekend, Marshall, NC State. As Dylan said earlier, you know, new starting quarterback for North Carolina State. So we're going to see how that goes. And I think North Carolina State, they're playing at home, so it might be a good game for them. Marshall, on the other hand, undefeated, beat Virginia Tech at home, beat ECU. They've beaten some good teams on the road, some teams that have hostile environments. They've beat teams at home that's helped them out. So I think they have a really good – man, I will say this, after seeing them play at ECU, they have some big boys on that offensive line and on that defensive line. So they have size and they can move. They're all really able to move. So there's that. But before we decide to throw our 5 picks for this week, we have some sad news today and from Saturday. On Saturday, we lost to one of the best knuckleball pitchers in the country at the time. Tim Wakefield passed away at the age of 57. Not only did he pass away, but we just got breaking news that today Dick Butkus has died at the age of 80. So we want to shout out to their families that our prayers are with them and hope that everything goes well and that they're watching down this weekend on football and baseball and having a great old time pitching again and playing on the gridiron. So shout out to them and their families and wish that everything and the success for the ones that are still surviving for them. Now we're going to get into the big time pig picks of the weekend. We're going to start out with the Kentucky-Georgia game. Jervon, who do you got winning this game, and what do you think the score is going to be?
Oh, God.
Got him.
Well, I was down to pick Kentucky, but then whenever you throw scores at me, I was terrible at math. So
numbers are hard. I don't remember what they mean.
Doesn't help, right?
I'm gonna say I'm gonna go 38-14.
38-14. You said Kentucky?
Yep.
Okay.
Ooh.
Dylan, who you got?
I think it's gonna be closer than whatever I think. I'm still gonna go with Georgia here. I think Georgia is still better than what people think that they are. I do, however, respect Kentucky. I respect their defense. They got a very strong defense. They're able to stop a lot of people. So I'm gonna go Georgia here. Probably we're gonna go 37-30.
37-30. Okay. And what do you got?
38-7, Kentucky wins because Georgia hasn't played fucking well. You can't tell me that they've played a good schedule and they've won by a lot. The first 2 games, sure. They didn't play well against South Carolina. Fucking Auburn, they barely won. Auburn sucks. Go fucking Knicks, dude. Go fucking Knicks and some bumfuck nowhere else in Oregon. And you're telling me that Georgia's good. Georgia defense hasn't played well. Georgia's offense, I saw him throw like, oh, that's their quarterback. He looks like some skinny random guy they found that's doing heroin in the fucking streets, dude. He looks lost.
He did have that
They
game-winning
don't
drive at the
play
end
well.
last week.
I don't care. It took him that damn long to get the heroin needle out of his arm, dude. He sucked.
I'm with you.
Georgia is so bad. I don't care. He's terrible. He's not a good quarterback.
The faster the game over, the faster the fix, baby.
I've been here for 8 years. You had him last year at Georgia.
Yeah.
I played football since I was alive, damn it. And now you got some random guy, you're like, oh, he's highly ranked. But he sucks. He sucks. Georgia's going to get swept. Just like the needles he probably has in his apartment underneath the fucking rug. God.
So I'm with you that I think Kentucky's going to win. I definitely have that feeling. It's kind of feeling that Kentucky has found who they are early in the season, where usually it takes them about 4 or 5 weeks to kind of figure it out. But I'm having a little bit of a closer score or lower score. I think it's going to be 28-21 Kentucky. But now we're going to take it to, like we said, one of the bigger games of the night, one of the top 25 games of the week. Notre Dame, Louisville. Dylan, who you got for Notre Dame, Louisville?
I think it's going to be another low-scoring game like it was for them last week. It's kind of tough because Louisville is the same way like you just said with Kentucky. They have definitely found their identity pretty early in the season.
They've all been chugging that bourbon so quickly. I don't know.
I know. I wish I had some. It'd be amazing right now. I don't know. It's gonna be closer than what people are thinking. So I think I'm gonna give the edge again to Notre Dame. I honestly only think it's gonna be a 1-point game. I'm probably gonna say it's gonna be a 21-20 game.
Okay. Aaron, what do you think?
28-14, Louisville wins.
Wow.
Notre Dame has not when they played Ohio State, they didn't play too well. Then they played a really good defense in Duke. They didn't play well. And Duke just made so many mistakes, is why they lost the game. Notre Dame is still reeling from Ohio State because they didn't know how the hell to play their offense or their defense. They didn't know how to do anything.
Yeah.
Hartman's gonna play well, as I'm hoping. It could be a higher scoring game than what I think. But I think Louisville has a very high and should win the game because their offense is, like you said, they found their identity. It's gonna either be a shootout or someone's gonna have some defense. We're gonna see.
Jervon, what do you got? What do you got, Risky 910?
I am definitely leaning towards Louisville on this one right here. I got 28-14 for this one.
Okay.
I just really don't see them stopping the passing game that Louisville's going to come out with. Louisville's averaging around 254 yards passing right now, and you know that we might not see those numbers, but what we will see that I think that's going to be a problem is Jordan starting off and closing the game out for him. Just like, you know, with Duke, whenever they were struggling at one point against Notre Dame, they started running the ball, and whenever they ran it at will. Yeah. And having somebody like Jordan, that's just coming out of the backfield. I mean, he could be your receiver or he could be your running back. Either one, you got two chances with him. But I don't see Notre Dame taking this one.
Yeah. No, I kind of, and I'm playing in Louisville. We've seen that on the road, Notre Dame is not as good, except when they were in Ireland. They were well in week 0. You know, at home against Ohio State, again, they didn't play the phenomenal way. So I'm kind of leaning Louisville, but I think it's going to be a little bit closer than 28-14. I'm kind of closer like to Dylan, 24-17, Louisville.
Notre Dame is losing a lot of steam throughout the season as well. They started off really hot.
Yeah. That's why I think you're right with the amount of points and how close it's going to be. I just don't – it's almost so hard to say, okay, Notre Dame's going to win this guaranteed. It's more like I can get the score closer than I can tell you if Notre Dame's going to win.
I think also, too, it's going to be how Louisville is reacting to last week because they should have lost last week. Let's be real.
Yeah.
They should have lost to State. And
State didn't even play that well either.
No, they didn't. So they kind of pulled that one out of their ass. So it's kind of, if they're looking at it like, okay, well, we played bad last week. Let's revamp it up and get it going. Or are they like, well, last week was tough, and then we got a really big opponent next week. So it's kind of their mentality going into this game.
Yep. I can definitely see that. All right, now we're going to go to the Big Ten. We're looking at Maryland, Ohio State at Ohio State. Dylan, what do you got for this one?
I think I got Ohio State in this one. I like what Tua's brother's playing. He's playing terrific this year.
I dare not try to pronounce his name.
I'm not either. I can say Tagovailoa, but I can't say the rest of it. But he's playing great. It's just can the rest of the team keep up with what he's doing? And
especially
Ohio,
in a hostile environment like the Shoes in Columbus.
Yeah, and I'm not the big. I've said it week in and week out. I'm not the biggest Ohio State fan, but they're starting to put some pieces together. And throughout the year, you're going to see them at the end. They're going to be ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're still trying to put some stuff together, but they got enough to beat Maryland. I don't see that being an issue here. I'm going to go Ohio State 35, Maryland 17.
Okay. Jervon, what do you got for this one?
I think TT is going to go to hell off. That's what I'm thinking. I'm not going to pronounce his name either. We just give people nicknames.
Exactly. Right? Like it's almost impossible to pronounce his name correctly.
TT is going to go to hell off. I just don't. I don't think they're going to be able to contain him on anything that he wants to do. Honestly, and like Dylan said, as long as the rest of the team has brought into what he's bringing, if they can keep up with the same intensity and the same thing that he's trying to run, they should run away with this. I'm gonna say maybe 34-12.
Okay, 34-12. And what about you? What do you got, or who do you got?
I really like Tua's brother. I really want to commit to liking Tua's brother that he's going to win the game. But I think it's going to be a close game. I think Ohio State wins it in the end. I think it's going to be like 35-28. It's going to be a touchdown. Ohio State wins in the end. Ohio State is, like everyone's saying, they're finding their identity. They're getting a lot better. Tua's brother is playing really, really good football. So I could be 100% wrong, and Tua could lead them to a win. Yeah. It's a very high possibility, but Ohio State has a lot more momentum. Sure, they play Notre Dame, which Notre Dame still sucks, in my opinion. I don't care what the hell that says. They're ranked every year, and then they're like, you know what? This clip looks really nice. Let's just slide them out. We jump. All right, we're jumping. We're jumping off the cliff. Just fucking go. Go, go, go. That's what Notre Dame does.
And another stat to keep in mind whenever you're making these picks, Maryland is allowing an extra 100 yards on defense compared to Ohio State.
Yep.
That's the scary part. The offensive wise is very similar.
Yeah.
But the defense is where it's really gonna show.
And I think the biggest thing you're gonna see in this, like I have Ohio State, and it's kind of similar. I think about 11 points is the difference, 38-27. But the biggest thing that I think is going to change this whole game for them is Maryland hasn't played. I believe they played Penn State, but I'm not 100% sure yet. But they do play later in the year against a bunch of big teams in big-time stadiums. So, but playing in your first 100,000 fan crowd or stadium for the season is kind of breathtaking for some people, especially ones that are freshmen and sophomores, first-time starters. You name it, that's how it is. And there is a lot of those kind of guys, whether it's transfers or first-time starters, that have come in and contributed to Maryland, but they're not used to that big-time crowd. So again, Ohio 38-27 for that.
Maryland's last 5 opponents have been Indiana, Michigan State, Virginia,
Penn State.
Yeah, Virginia, Charlotte, and Towson.
Yeah,
and nobody has scored over 20 points on them, and they've dropped their lowest scoring game so far was 39.
Yeah, and they're on the road this week. And I know they play Penn State and Michigan later in the year, so that'll be interesting to see. But we're going to throw it to the game in Raleigh this weekend. We got Marshall, NC State. Aaron, who do you got and what score?
I think NC State's going to be – I think they're going to win. I think it's going to probably be – let's go 28-21. NC State wins over Marshall. I think NC State's going to be rejuvenated with a different quarterback. It's definitely going to make the game a lot different than it's been in the past few weeks, just because, you don't used to be practicing number 1, practicing number 2, practicing or whatever, but he is starting.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a different mindset, and they're going to come out swinging. We'll see if it's going to be a lot of misses or they're going to actually hit something.
Risky, what do you got?
I'm going with NC State as well. One thing that you can't ignore with NC State is they always got some linemen that's not afraid to punch somebody in the mouth at the line.
And they're all North Carolina raised.
Yeah, that's just the thing about North Carolina teams is, except for my Tar Heels, they just I don't know, that's different.
Nah,
but
we don't talk about that.
Yeah, we won't talk about that. But no, I got NC State. I'm going 28-20 on that one. Just hopefully they can get established early as well.
Yep. Dylan, what about you?
So I'm kind of curious to see this. My big thing is how is NC State going to run their playbook? You're bringing in a kid that, they're bringing in a kid. He doesn't have a whole lot of experience. Everybody's really excited to come in. There's a lot of hype going into this weekend in Raleigh. The only thing is their leading rusher was Brendan Armstrong.
That's a sad thing.
He was their best running back, and he was their worst quarterback.
Riley Leonard was their leading rusher.
Yeah, but he was good. This cat, he can't hit the spots out of the barn.
The quarterbacks who are leading rushers are not playing this week for either one of those two teams.
Yeah, it's very interesting. One of them.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. It's just you.
No, you're fine. My thing with NC State is really going to be, what is the playbook going to look like? You got a young quarterback coming in. You got to be able to establish the run. You've got to be able to get the ball outside to players like Casey Concepcion. That's a really hard word to say. But he is the lead front runner for the ACC Rookie of the Year. The kid looks amazing. He's been their only outside threat so far. I'm really hoping that the play calling is going to be, let's get him the ball. Let's get the ball early, open up the running game, and let our defense work, because they've got a good defense. Yep. Their defense can be very, very good. They've got a couple of dogs on the outside. They got one outside linebacker battle that's freaking nasty, dude. It's just going to be, can they slow the game down? Can they keep Marshall from having the ball too many times? Because we saw, especially against ECU, they came out, they have big receivers, they've got targets to be able to throw the ball. If they just don't drop the ball, they'd score 30, 40 points a game, but they're not.
They look like the old Marshall of when they played with Randy Moss.
Yeah, so
Leftwich and all those guys back in the day.
That's my big thing. So I'm gonna go. I think NC State will actually win this game. I believe that the coaching staff will be able to manage it well enough to keep Marshall from having a large possession rate. But I think it's going to be very, very slow. So I'm going to go NC State 14, Marshall 10.
I got to say one thing. We are Marshall. I'm definitely pulling with the Herd this weekend. Not only do I have ties to the Herd, but definitely pulling with the Herd. They impressed me at ECU, and they impressed me last weekend against Virginia Tech. I see a team who's behind a redshirted sophomore quarterback starting, who has some very big names on that team that not many people realize are there. Like Chad Pennington's son is on the team, who's a redshirted freshman, who his dad has been still contributing to the locker room a little bit. You got some really big dudes on that offensive line who are not afraid to push back. They are some dogs on there. That defense is actually pretty structured to bend and not break after what I've seen in the last couple of weeks for them. I do think it's going to be similar to the ECU game for them. I believe they can outscore just about anybody even without their defense playing well. And I have Marshall winning 34-14.
Woo.
Yeah.
That's a hot take.
Exactly. I mean, you got to go big or go home here. You know? So we're going to take it to the last game of the night for us. Arlington has some great teams coming in this weekend. We got Oklahoma, Texas, Red River rivalry, the Triple R. We're going to start with Dylan, since he had talked about this game already. Who you got and what's the score?
This game was really tough for me to pick. It's very funny, too, because ESPN's actually got Oklahoma winning this game. They're a 4% favorite over Texas, but it's basically a toss-up at this point. My major thing is going to be, like I said before, whose defensive front is going to be able to hold up and who's going to be able to show the running game. They both can throw the ball. Dylan Gabriel, Quinn Ewers, they're both going to be able to toss the ball around. That's not going to be an issue. Who's going to be able to run the ball? Who's going to chew up clock? Who's going to take the possession rate? And right now, from what we're seeing, Oklahoma doesn't have that. Major's been running the ball for them. He's only got 200 yards on the year. So I'm a little worried on that for Oklahoma side. So I think I'm going to go with Texas on this one. I think it's going to be a shootout. I don't think it's going to be a very high scoring game, but I think Texas defense is going to prevail. I'm going to go Texas 31, Oklahoma 21.
Okay. And what do you got?
I don't think Texas is going to win 49-21.
You said Texas 49-21?
Oklahoma does not have a defense. I watched Oklahoma play last week with my dad. I'm like, maybe Oklahoma has a good defense this year. Literally, the next fucking play ran right through the middle and down the field. I'm like, yep, Oklahoma sucks again on defense. Big surprise.
And the funny thing is their head coach is the Clemson defensive coordinator from the national championship team they had.
Yeah, well, it's Clemson. But, I mean, that's what Oklahoma just doesn't have a good defense. Texas has a lot of big boys on the front line that are hungry to play some good football. They now have a high chance to play some really good football against a very high-powered offense. But Oklahoma's defense is not going to be able to compete with Texas. Because Texas, again, they got that offensive line, which is all veterans. And they're like, hey, we could play some ball because we've done a few years. Texas is going to run the ball a lot. They're going to throw the ball a lot. Oklahoma is going to be left wondering where the hell their defense is.
Yep. Jervon, what do you got?
Well, originally I didn't have a pick for this one right here, but since Dylan said that ESPN has Oklahoma for the favorite, Dylan, you know I'm a betting man when it comes to sports, so I'm going to go with Texas.
Okay.
And this one right here, I'm also going to go over/under. I'm going to take the over on 3 picks being thrown in this game.
I like it.
I definitely think that's a chance with both of them airing the ball out. I want to see how's the pass defense is going to hold up against that. Aaron made a really good point about Oklahoma and the way that their defense is getting chewed up out there in the open. But I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of check down throws here. They're going to be airing it out pretty good. So I think there's going to be some opportunities for some turnovers here.
Because also Oklahoma, this is their first real test this year.
Yeah,
the hardest game they've had so far was against Cincinnati, and they won 20-6.
Yep.
I'm gonna go 42-20.
42-20 Texas. Well, I'm with you boys here on this one. I think Texas is going to definitely win. I think with ESPN favoring Oklahoma, it's going to fuel Texas just a little bit more. Not only that, this game is a true neutral site when it comes to fan-wise, not necessarily location-wise. It literally is a 50-50 split almost. You know, it might be like 1 or 2% difference either way, but it's literally a 50-50 split, just about. I see Dylan Gabriel this week, specifically against Texas's defense, overthrowing the ball more than underthrowing. And I don't see him completing as many passes as he has in the previous weeks. And I don't see their defense stepping up as much as they are predicting them to step up, even with who their coach is and who their defensive coordinator is. So I see Texas kind of running with this one. I see it's going to be 42-14, Texas.
Ooh.
So I got a question for y'all about Texas, because at the beginning of the year, we did a couple of predictions saying who we thought was going to be our early picks going into the college football playoffs. Texas has so far shown that they're playoff caliber. They're definitely going to be up there. What are the odds, do you think, that Texas will be a top 2 seed going into the college football playoffs this year?
I think it's very high. We're going to find out definitely if that's a possibility when Georgia plays this weekend. This is going to be a test for Georgia. It's not going to be like people say like, oh, they're high ranked. Kentucky's actually 20. That's pretty crazy. No, it's going to be, can Georgia actually play an offensive game that's not just whatever the hell you would call their offense now? Because their offense is not like an SEC team of we're going to run the ball We're going to have some decent passing games. I mean, years past, Georgia's throwing the ball well. They've run the ball really well. We all thought, one of the running backs is hurt this year. Georgia will have still a really good running. They have three really good backs. The running backs have not shown up that much.
Yeah.
That one guy that got hurt might have been their offense.
I told you at the beginning of the year that he was the man down there.
Yeah. And here's the reason why I'm sorry to cut you off, but here's the reason why I'm asking. We see Georgia for what they are now. Y'all got your opinions on Georgia, and I think them losing Robinson has really hurt them tremendously for that offense. They're making do what they can, but I don't know how much longer they can withstand this type of offense.
Exactly.
My other point was Michigan has only got 2 more games this year that really they're got a capability of losing, right? And that's Penn State and Ohio State. I don't see them losing to Penn State, right?
Is it in Penn State?
Yes.
That's the whiteout game this year.
They're losing that one, bro. Whiteout? Bro, I wish we could go watch
because
that.
Michigan State was at Michigan State, I believe. And the whiteout game is against Michigan this year.
Yeah, but they're playing Ohio State at home.
Yes, that's
for the last game of the year. So those 2 games are really going to be the deciding factor on if Michigan lasts that long or not. If Georgia loses, they're out.
Yeah,
they're not going to be in the playoffs. I don't think so. So this is why I'm
speaking as a 4 seed.
Yeah, so I'm very skeptical on saying that Texas will make it in as a 2 seed. I don't see Michigan lose. I think Michigan's going to end up being number 1 by the end of the year. As for Georgia,
bite your tongue.
I hope I'm wrong. Listen, I really, really hope so.
We don't speak that crap into existence.
I want somebody to put Michigan's dick in the dirt and tell them just let it go.
Penn State. I think Penn State has a good
Michigan.
Shot. I was going to tell you this beforehand. Texas, after this week, has probably one of the easiest schedules in the Big 12.
That's true.
Kansas State, Iowa State, Baylor. You name the lower end tiers of the teams. That's what they have left.
And I think that's going to play a lot into them going into the playoffs.
Exactly.
I don't know if that's going to help or hurt them, though.
I think it's going to hurt them a lot more than you think.
It's going to hurt.
It depends on if 1 or 2 they lose. If 1 or 2 loses, it doesn't.
No,
they still get it.
I mean, it's going to hurt them as in being ready for the playoffs.
Right.
Well, that's a different discussion. I do think
they are one of the top 4 teams in the country as of right now. We will learn more about them this Saturday. But as of right now, they are definitely one of the top 4 teams.
I think we'll definitely have to table this discussion until next week.
Exactly.
I think this game is going to show you a lot. Oklahoma, to me, is not as good as everybody thinks they are. It's like exactly what Aaron said. I don't think they're as good as they are. People say that they are. I don't think their defense is nearly as good as what it could be. I was just very curious to see what y'all thought about with Michigan and Georgia, because I know how y'all feel about Georgia. But looking
I can live with Georgia.
I mean, I like Georgia personally. Some people do. Some people don't.
Ray Charles.
We're talking about football. Sorry.
Ray Charles did. He didn't see him, but he heard about him. Also, I'm gonna have to make this joke, Jervon, but thank you for turning on a light.
Oh yeah. Hey, look. Usually, all I gotta do is smile, baby.
Jervon, we love you, dude.
Love you too, brother.
Hey, appreciate you coming on, man. You're gonna have to get on here again. That was a good analysis.
Sure, I enjoyed myself.
Maybe next week we'll get you back on for the continued talk of the Texas-Oklahoma rivalry.
Yes, that would be great.
One more thing before we end this. It should be out by now, but the Savannah Bananas schedule for next year has just came out at 7 o'clock today.
Brother, let me tell you.
It's big. They got a lot of stops this year that were actually surprising to me.
Well, they're adding, I think, what was it, like an extra 40 or 50 stops total this season?
They're also adding an extra team. And Dylan, do I have a bone to pick with them on the name of this damn team?
What is the name? I don't even know it.
They are going to be called the fucking Firefighters.
What? What?
Look, my thing is this. You could have called them anything pertaining to a damn baseball or a banana, and you called them the fucking Firefighters. That pissed me off so bad. Dude, I would have rather been called the Dingers. I would have rather been called the home run hitters. Any other fucking thing but a damn firefighter. So what are you going to do for promotion wise? Are you going to take and you're going to put the guy out there on fire and then have somebody to come torch him out? Like,
Bro,
I don't understand.
They probably have a fire truck that they're going to use now.
That would be great. Yeah, let the fire truck throw out the first pitch.
Exactly.
Jesus Christ.
But
I love banana ball. Don't like the firefighters.
So with that, we will hold that discussion for next week when everybody has officially been able to see the schedules and the tour dates and the team announcements and everything like that. We will hold that for next week for sure.
We might even see if Dakota can get on here and talk a little bit about it.
Yeah. Maybe we'll have a 5-group session that week.
I'm down for that.
But with that, we thank you for joining us on Beyond Sports Media's midweek breakdown, week 6 college football analysis. Peace.
Woo! Go firefighters.